I have a special guest today joining me on Primetime Local News. Kristina Kuzmic is here. Kristina is going to be coming to Lloydminster. Kristina, you have so many titles, but we're going to say for this purpose of this interview, mental health advocate, you're a motivational speaker. You've done so much for the mental health community and just a great presence in everything that you do. It's so positive, and I just really like watching everything that you post because it's inspirational, but it's also real. So thank you for joining me today, Kristina.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for those kind words.
Well, let's talk about you coming to Lloydminster. You know, it's a small city. There's a lot of people that are really excited to see you. So when you come here, it's in January, so a few months away. But when you come here, Kristina, what can people expect from your I hesitate to call it a show because I guess it's more of a, a presentation and a conversation. But what can people expect when they come and see you?
They can expect me to say a lot of things about mental health that they're probably thinking, but either are worried about saying it out loud because there's still a lot of judgment out there, or maybe they feel alone in how they feel or what their family is going through if they're trying to support a child or a loved one through mental health struggles. My son and I have been really open about his struggles and all the mistakes I've made. And so, trying to support him. So just a really open, vulnerable, honest conversation with none of that fake stuff.
Well, the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation is bringing you out here because they want to, hear what you have to say about mental health. And you mentioned a little bit about your son Luke and some of the issues that you had. And it's open. There's articles. There's a book. So can you just tell me a little bit about how things happened with Luke and where you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sum it up in a few seconds, but uh,
Absolutely.
my son was diagnosed with depression and anxiety in his early teens. Later on, we found out he had ADHD too. And when he was 14, I flat out asked him if he had ever thought about taking his life. And he said yes. And as any parent who's gone through this knows, or anybody who's had a friend, it doesn't have to be a child who's gone through this, knows your entire world changes. And after that, it was just years of trying to find the right therapy and trying to find the right medication. And, a lot of times his depression showed up as anger, and he started numbing with drugs and alcohol, and he started stealing in order to get drugs and alcohol. And we had to call the police on him at one point. And he was hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital. It was just a very long, turbulent time where basically I had to learn a lot of stuff to know how to support him. And he had to put in a lot of work himself. And now we talk about it openly because the one thing that I believe is killing so many of our children is shame. We have to get rid of the shame. We have to get rid of the stigma. And that's why my son was so open about writing this book with me and talking about it openly. Because once we can remove the shame, man, we are going to save so many lives, and so many people that need help will actually reach out for help.
And it is unfortunate, as you mentioned, that there is such a stigma with people trying to get help for mental health. So when you give your presentation at events like the one you're coming to in Lloydminster, Kristina, what are some of the things that you bring out besides telling your story to kind of help people realize that it's okay to reach out for help and that it's not something where you have to hide and let it get worse and worse before it's at the point where you're either too late or you're in so deep that it's very hard to get back to where you need to be?
Yeah, so often the things we humans go that are actually very human, we label as bad or wrong or weak. That's a big one with mental health. People feel like they're weak or they're weird or they're abnormal. And I think we just need to redefine what it means to be human. You're not supposed to be perfect. And just like I don't know anybody who's physically healthy 100% of the time, everyone's got something at some point, whether it's something little and temporary or something really, big and chronic. Everybody has something. Same with mental health struggles. Everyone's going to struggle at some point. And I also think that the whole, what would people think? What will people think? Which a lot of us have heard it from our parents. A lot of us live it every day, right? What will people think if they know this thing about me or my family or how I feel or what I think? That is one of the most abusive things we do to ourselves. So one thing is accepting that as humans, we are going to have human struggles, and that doesn't make us inadequate or weak. It makes us human. And two, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. You got to do what's best for you and your family. And you got to just say no thank you to any outside judgment and no thank you to your inner critic.
Well, Christina, I am so excited for having you coming to Lloydminster and just to have this conversation. And I know it's one person, but then you get the word out and hopefully the word spreads. So, Christina, once again, I'm just so thankful for you chatting with me today. And I wish we had more time. But the benefit of that is if people come out and see you when you're here in January, then they can learn more about you and learn more about the mental health situation and your advocacy as well. So, if people in the meantime, Christina, are looking for information more about your book or yourself or what you do, or just to get, some of the things that you follow on social media, like I said, it's just so awesome. Some days you're not feeling great, and then you look at your page and it's like, oh, well, she's done this, and it's a funny, Halloween thing or something, right? So, where can they find all that information about you, Christina?
So on social media, I'm at Kristina with a K, last name Kuzmic. And I do have the book that my son and I wrote together, I Can Fix This, and Other Lies I Told Myself while parenting my struggling child. But on social media, I'm constantly posting new content, whether it's something to make you laugh or something where, I'm really vulnerable about how hard life can be.
All right, Christina. Well, again, thank you so much for chatting today, and we'll see you here in Lloydminster in January.
Can't wait. Thank you so much.